Day. It is the 1st of April and today is Wednesday, in case you're losing a little bit of track of time. I'm back to the double screening and let's see whether this works better without covering up my microphone on Insta. So I'm on Facebook Live at /City Natural Therapies, and I am on Instagram Live. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm just about to... let's just start that again. Let's actually go live. You know, this is so professional here, isn't it? Take 2. We are checking connection. How are you today? Hi, so here we go live. Now on Insta Live, hopefully not got the microphone covered up today, and on Facebook /City Natural Therapies. Let's get started again. 1st of April, it is Wednesday. We are all April Fools or something like that. So it's really interesting. I put a reminder in my diary a couple of months ago to say it's 3 or 4 months on from the bushfires here in Australia on the East Coast. And usually it's at this time, this kind of lag where everybody else's lives have got back to normal, and you, as someone who's been really directly impacted by the bushfires, is struggling. So I was going to, I had put it in my diary that this is a really, really good time to actually talk about that bushfire recovery and why it's so important to take up those offers around mental health, and to remind people that I have a free consultation on offer for anyone who's been directly impacted by the fires. So you may have been physically under threat or lost your house or been a frontline worker in all this. But you know what? I really feel sorry for those who've gone through the bushfires, because now when you need us more than ever, there's an even greater emergency. It was a very similar reaction I had to after the Christchurch earthquakes. Just a short time later, then Japan had the earthquakes and tsunami and a bigger disaster. If you can imagine a bigger disaster, it begins to eclipse the world's attention. So I just want to remind those, or if you know someone who was directly impacted by Australian bushfires, that my offer is still there, and I left it out there for all year or as long as it's needed to have a free naturopathic consultation, because I learnt from the Victorian bushfires. And the Victorian bushfires, it was a huge lag. It wasn't 3 months, that you make an offer. You need to make the offer for a year or longer. So just be aware that that's still there. Today, I just wanted to talk a little bit about we're adjusting to this new normal, and things are a little bit out of whack in our lives. That, it's that whole theme of there are things you can't control, and it's trying not to battle what you can't control. In fact, I just, my hair is so not perfectly in place, and my lipstick not reapplied because I was actually talking to another practitioner. And I mentioned when we were really struggling with a decision and we were really angsting about it, it's actually usually it's that resistance that we're having to making a decision. Usually we know we've got to go right, and we want to keep going left, and the more we battle this desire to keep things going the way that they are, the greater the struggle. So what I was just going to talk about today was talking about routine in abnormal times. And I've touched on routine before, but now you might be getting into a new normal. You can't control the fact that we're not allowed to go to the beach for a swim. You can't control that you can't use the exercise equipment in your local playground outside anymore, and that was a really important part of your exercise routine. There are things that you can control, and I would really encourage new routines. I'd say especially on weekdays, to get up at the same time, go to bed at the same time, or close to it. I know when you're not getting up to catch that train or that bus or that tram at, X o'clock, then it's easy to kind of stay up a bit later or watch more Netflix, get up later. But I would encourage you to consider, trying to keep your weekday routine. So it's your meal times, it's your breakfast, lunch and dinner, it's your sleep and getting up times, it's your exercise times. And I keep sharing with you the thing that I learn about exercise is the days that I've gone, it's a bit rainy out there, I'll go for my walk later in the day. It just actually throws me off. It's been a bit rainy in Sydney, which is wonderful, but my productivity, my own mental health, my own state of mind is better if I get out of the house at dawn or close to dawn. At least by 7 for a walk, which is dawn now at the moment. After this weekend, those of us in Australia get that extra hour back. That hour we banked at the beginning of summer, we get it back, and it makes it a lot easier to get up early. So we'll talk a bit maybe next Monday about our rhythms changing with the seasons. But for now, to think about what exercise works for you, and make sure it's an everyday. I'd also say if you're doing a lot of work on the computer and you're not getting up from your desk to go off to chat to a colleague anymore, that you want to do something to stretch yourself out. My new best friend is on the floor, on the yoga mat. I got myself a bolster, which was a really nice investment. I find it really, if I lie on the bolster, it really stretches my shoulder out. So you might want to do something like that, like download the Pomodoro timer, or set your own timer on your phone to every 30 minutes to actually take a break and to lie down and stretch it out. Now, if you don't have a bolster, which most people don't, let's face it, get like a beach towel, a thick towel, roll it up so it's a good sausage, or even if you have a pool noodle, something like that, even 2 towels if you want to get it wider, then really good for your upper back to stretch it out, get those wings moving, those shoulder blades moving, and that's really, really good antidote of opening yourself out this way, which is to do, rather than hunching over the computer. So see if there's a space, if you're lucky enough to have a bit of space where you live, to do that. I was going to joke about the yoga mat, because a year or two ago a colleague invited me to this really wonderful sound healing Buteyko experience one night. She said, just bring your yoga mat. And that made me go, my yoga mat? Do all naturopaths have a yoga mat? Which I really thought about making a podcast based on the Guilty Feminist. God, if you haven't listened to the Guilty Feminist, fantastic podcast. But she begins every Guilty Feminist podcast with the participants answering the question, I'm a feminist, but. So for me, I don't own a yoga mat. Still don't own a yoga mat. I've been loaned one. So exercise, do what works for you. I am now tracking where and when all the different no lights, no light crews around the world are putting their in real time dancing online on different platforms. Last Thursday, as I might have mentioned, was my first Sydney No Lights, No Light Crow virtual half-hour boogie at 7 o'clock. It was really good. But if you wake up at 5 o'clock on a Monday morning, you can tune into the London Facebook, London No Lights, No Light Crow live if you want to. Something for everybody's time clock. Talked enough for today. If you have a question, a thought, something you'd like me to talk about in future, just pop me a comment or message me. And I will see you again tomorrow at 1. So I'm saying goodbye to live and saying goodbye, Helen. Helen, my most regular lunchtime joiner. I hope you have a good day. See you later.